Welcome to Political Space with me, Webster. So Political Space is a platform that provides non-partisan political dialogue to different leaders, either social commentators, politicians, and aspiring leaders that have got different political views. You are all welcome here. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook, and X. We are also on Spotify. So this week on Political Space, we are hosting someone that is prominent, an academician, a writer, and also a politician. He's also a social commentator by the names of Dr. Tonse Mwelwa. Doc, welcome on Political Space.
Thank you so much.
And I'm Webster.
Webster.
Yeah.
And good day, our viewers, wherever you are following us from.
Yeah, so the basic purpose of establishing Political Space is just to provide a non-partisan, uniform political space where people would have unfiltered political conversations without interference, without fear, or without sounding partisan.
Yeah.
Sure. So we are so glad that you gave us a time to host you here on Political Space. Thank you so much for your time.
Always my pleasure. Sure. I mean, giving us an opportunity to engage with the Zambian population and beyond is such a great, opportunity. A lot of people look at politicians from their own perspective. And once you give us opportunities such as this, it gives us an opportunity to unveil our thoughts, our opinions and feelings about how, we feel about certain things.
And it's 2026. What do you have for us in 2026 as we begin the year?
2026 is an exciting year. So exciting in the sense that it's the year of decision. When Zambians have to make decisions, it's a year of evaluation. It's a year of judgment. Now we look back to see in the last 5 years, how have we been governed? What has the nation achieved? Where are we going as a nation? Where are we and where are we going as a nation? And so 2026 gives us an opportunity to reflect and think about the future of Zambia in the next 5 years.
So it's good to say it's a decision-making year.
It's a year of decision-making.
Okay. So just before we get into the details of today's conversation, just tell us your upbringing, your academic upbringing, your social. When were you born and where did you grow up from?
I was born in July 1964. Interesting enough that at least for a few months, I was part of the freedom fighters.
When you were a baby. Okay. Yeah. So
I was part of the freedom fighters. So maybe that's where the fighting spirit comes from. I was born pre-independence.
You are a fighter.
And was brought up in an area called Fitete in Mkushi district of Central Province of the Republic of Zambia. That is where I was born and brought up. I went to Mkushi Boma Primary School from grade 1 up to grade 7. And I always don't hide the fact that I failed grade 7 3 times. In those days, there was no automatic progression. If you failed, you didn't hit the cutoff point. And places were not as easy to find because there were very few secondary schools. Mm-hmm. So 3 times I attempted to go to the secondary schools of my choice and I failed. Because if you chose St. Paul's, you must hit that target. If you chose Mkushi, you have to hit that target. So 3 times I failed. And then
you were not able to read?
No, I was able to read. Actually, for your information, my writing skill starts from grade 6 when I was a chairperson of the Writers Club at school. And so I could write interesting articles then that found me in trouble from time to time. But when it came to exams, it's not that I wasn't intelligent enough to pass the exams, but maybe I was too playful and was not focused on what I wanted. And so after that, I continued with my secondary education using what was known then as National Correspondence College, which means that you got lectures from Luansha, you wrote the assignments, and then took part in the official junior secondary school exams at Form 3. Mm-hmm. And so I did my Form 3. In other words, I am a product of distance education at secondary school level. And then after my Form 3, then I went to Palavana Daily Training Institute, did my agriculture, and after that I went back to work in Mkushi, after which I went into South Africa to study theology. From theology to business administration, and then the academic journey began from there.
So where exactly did you meet Honorable Katuta?
I met Honorable Katuta later in the years. At the time when I was working for Chreso University, we met in a boardroom. Okay. She was then representing one South African company that was involved in developing student accommodation. So they came for that meeting, and out of that conversation, we started talking. Later, it became a love relationship.
Oh, how far is it? A couple of years, 10 years, 20 years?
11. No, it should be about 14 years back.
14 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we've been married for 11 years.
Okay.
But we started talking. I think she was not an easy catch. I think I tried, I pushed for about 3 years. Answer was no.
Wow.
Until finally I managed to convince her.
How did you convince her? 3 years, the answer is no. Like, what word changed in your discussion?
I just kept my faith. I'm a man of faith, and so I kept my faith.
Why was she difficult?
I think, I don't know what her perception was about me, and until I proved to her that what she was thinking was something else. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then your doctorate, at what point did you obtain your?
You know, first I did my first PhD in education management, and my second PhD in political science. Mm-hmm. So I got my political science degree in 2024. That's when I got my political science degree. Okay. PhD in political science. It was from Hill City University, Liberia. I graduated in November 2024.
And like, especially politicians would argue that you academicians don't really have the real touch of the problems or the things that happen either in government or in administration.
No.
You're basically more theoretical than more practical.
I'll tell you that my academic journey is basically that of what I could call a Tamanga type of academic journey. I am not one of those prime ones who had the opportunity to go to the best universities in the world, such as the University of Zambia, Copperbelt University. Like I said, my academic journey has all been in distance education. Mm-hmm. I did most of my education through distance learning. Okay. And so alongside my distance learning programs, I have been a man that is on the ground, that has done ground politics, that has been involved in the real life, you know, if you know what I mean. I can tell you stories of sailing, all sorts of things, working on the street, working as a security guard. I have worked as a security guard before. So I have been through a life staff journey. Okay. You know, my career started at ShopRite as a security guard.
So, like, which background are you coming from
in terms
Zambia's, of economic or social circle?
In terms of
where you are coming from, a family where you're coming from, is it a more privileged or less privileged?
No, family? I come from nothing to talk about family. It's not a rich family. It's not a privileged family. Mm-hmm. I could actually say that in our family, I am the one that has had the opportunity to be the best amongst my, my relatives. God has been gracious to me. I've held senior positions. I've been blessed with a little bit of money, and I have attained academic qualifications better than most of my relatives. So I do not come from a very privileged family. Yes, I am educated, I'm exposed, but not just exposed to education. I am also exposed to poverty. I'm exposed to life on the street. I'm exposed to life, like I said, that of a security guard.
Yeah. So, like, from your experience, your professional experience, academic experience, and the upbringing, what has really inspired you to, like, in terms of having a political perspective? How has that really inspired you?
You know, I have always been fighting through writing. I've done most of my battles through writing. I told you in grade 6, I wrote an article that caused trouble at school for me.
What article was it? What exactly did you write?
I was just writing about, you know, the library and how scanty it was. Nothing was in there.
Did you insult someone?
Not necessarily. I've never known to insult, but speak the truth. Fast forward, I joined ShopRite from security base. Just with one report I wrote as a security guard, reached the MD. The MD looks at the report and he says, I want to see the guard who wrote this report. Then they had to fetch me, meet the MD. The MD says, are you the guy who wrote the report? But who are you? And then I explained, gave him my background, my qualifications and so forth. That same day, I was promoted from security guard to trainee manager. And in less than 6 months, appointed operations manager. So my writing has actually been a gift that God has given me. I cannot say that it is because of the academics, because even before I attained the qualifications that I have today, I've always been a very good writer.
So, like,
and the reason I lost my job at ShopRite was simply because I wrote an article which then I entitled Twisted Hands, that poverty has twisted our hands and fear controls our destiny. It was just the lived experience in the retail sector in Zambia, which is still the same today. Men and women that work in the retail work so hard, make so much money. If you look at the P&Ls, you know, the profit and loss accounts for these institutions, there are massive profits that they make. But the worker in the retail sector is the most despised. They get nothing, they go with nothing in their pockets. But they have to do that job to survive. And so I wrote that article basically to fight for the rights of the retail workers. And that landed me into serious problems, and I ended up losing my job.
As an academician, what concrete value does your work bring in terms of change, social change, political change, or basically development?
Well, I think that I have a lot of followers who read my articles. And my work is visible, both in the academics, in terms of scientific writings within my sector. I have produced quite a lot of work that helps students and so on in their research and so on. But also to the general public, I'm an eye-opener. I open people's minds and views, open them up to, you know, things that they are supposed to know, things that are being right and things that are being done wrong. So with my writing, I bring out a lot of perspective for people to see what we are going through. During the PF time, I could write things that were uncomfortable for the PF that time. During the MMD, I only wrote one article that I mentioned, which landed me in problems. But during the UPND, I've also been highlighting issues both in government and in the opposition. When things are not going right, I always bring out these issues and just say, no, this is not the way things must be done. This is how things must be done. And so in terms of my contribution to society is immense.
Okay. Really, so you're a politician and a prominent person. How would you strike a balance in terms of personal, family life, and also your career?
That's a very interesting one. You know, very interesting in the sense that both of us are in politics, the only thing that we agree 100% is the love affair in the home, her home management and family matters. But when it comes to politics, in some cases we hold two different views.
How do you handle that?
You know, respect her views, she respects mine. Respect her decisions, she respects my decisions. And understand that, look, this is a democratic society. This is the most democratic home where we practice democracy. When she was FDD, I was PF. Yeah. When she was independent at some point, I was Socialist Party. Now she's pursuing her own dream as an independent political candidate. I'm supporting a different political candidate. But when it comes to our home relationships, they are cordial. I allow her to do what she wants to do as a person. She also must allow me to do what I want to do as a person.
So how really, as a man of the house, how do you handle political differences in-house? She's so much for this view and you're so much for this view.
We agree to disagree. And that's it. And we always know the boundary between politics and love affair.
Oh, interesting. I would want to. I would actually want to host her on political space.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Okay.
It would be an interesting, a debate where both herself and myself can feature and discuss different political views. The way she looks at things. In some cases, there are times when we agree on certain, national issues. And there are times when we disagree.
Can you give an example of something that you really disagreed on politically?
Something that we really disagreed on politically. My move to the Socialist Party, she said no. I think that socialism cannot work. At the time, I still believe that socialism is perhaps one of the best ideologies for African countries, emancipation. Even though the drivers have failed to, convince the Zambians that this is the way to go. And there are a lot of factors that are fighting that. But for her, she holds a completely different view from socialism. So at that point, we couldn't agree.
So how is it? Then I'm just trying to wonder. Then you go for a socialist meeting or something. She knows this is not what she's supporting.
Yeah, then I pursue socialism. She pursues something else, capitalism, and with a difference.
And you are the interim spokesperson for the Tonse Alliance.
Exactly.
How is the alliance doing?
Well, just like any other organization, there is no perfect organization.
What do you mean?
The UPND is imperfect. The Socialist Party is imperfect. Tonse is imperfect. But I think that it's the best umbrella so far, bringing together 18 minus 1. Recently, we are having indications. We haven't yet gotten the official position of the Zambia Must Prosper. So we've got 18 organizations, 9 political parties, 9 civil society organizations. This is not small.
So on Zambia Must Prosper, I think I will comment something as a comment.
Yeah, so with such a number of civic as well as political organizations coming together for one cause, it is not something small. So the Tonse Alliance is the most preferred vehicle at the moment that Zambians are looking up to bring all the politicians together so that we can run as a united front. You have to understand that this is something that was initiated in collaboration with President Edgar Lungu, and may he so rest in peace. His desire was to see that opposition political leaders come together, work together to achieve something for the Zambian people.
Are you really together as Tonse? Are you really together?
Yes, we are. We are. Okay. I'll tell you a very perfect example that we've just been talking to is the relationship between myself and my wife. The fact that we have minor differences doesn't mean that our marriage is coming to an end.
So you expelling as Tonse Alliance, expelling the Patriotic Front, Did that disadvantage you in terms of numbers?
No, I will tell you what they are calling expulsion of the PF. Let me take this opportunity to clarify.
You can look in that camera and clarify.
The Patriotic Front, the initial, let me just give a brief background. Comrade Dr. Zumani, Sean Tembo, and others, they initiated Tonse to provide an umbrella, to provide a vehicle that Edgar Lungu must use going forward. And he was then invited to the Tonse Alliance to become the presidential candidate and also the Patriotic Front to come in as an anchor party. Now you have to understand that since 2023, October 2023, the PF has been going through a lot of court battles with no clear leadership structures. Who is who within the PF? And at the same time, before the demise of President Edgar Lungu, Mr. Given Lubinda was made chairperson of Tonse, but not the presidential candidate of Tonse, the acting chairperson of Tonse. So he operated in this capacity for almost 6-7 months from the time that, or let me say over 7 months, from the time that President Edgar Lungu was in hospital until the time when members within the alliance decided to say, let us remove the PF from the equation. The reason why they decided to remove the PF from the equation is because they wanted to make headways. For as long as the PF leader is unknown indefinitely, the 17 to 18 member organization of the Tonse Alliance will continue being held hostage without knowing direction because they have to wait until the PF finds a leader. So not until they find a leader, the Tonse also suffers. The reason for the removal of the PF was go and sort out your leadership issues. Once you have a leader, you can rejoin Tonse. But in the meantime, Tonse had to set a date to choose the flag bearer.
So amongst the taking away PF from the alliance, amongst the parties that are in Tonse, is there someone that is so influential, and is there someone that has got the political power to face the incumbent party?
It's not about someone. It's about the movement.
But if the movement doesn't have strength?
No. It's about the movement. The movement, the Tonse Alliance is a movement. It's a very strong movement that can face the incumbent. You saw what happened in Chawaman. You perhaps see what will happen in Kasama and other places. People of Zambia have faith in the Tonse Alliance, not in an individual. So the Tonse Alliance will actually be stronger and stabilized once they have an incumbent leader, somebody, a substantive leader, who is then going to be able to move the alliance to greater heights. At the moment, the Tonse Alliance still, presents a very formidable force.
So
against
after the Congress, we won't see another fight within the Tonse.
It's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. Fights are normal. I can give you examples from animal kingdoms. When the lead lion dies and they have to find a new leader amongst the lions, there are fights, cubs die, confusion erupts, but once hierarchy is established, confusion ends. This is the same thing even when you look at the chimpanzees. There it is even more political amongst the chimpanzees. There they have to campaign, there is betrayal, there is what. Until they choose a leader, hierarchy is established, then the confusion ends. So once hierarchy is established within the Tonse Alliance, there will be no confusion at all. The problem we have at the moment is that there is no substantive leader with some form of command structure, with some form of command authority to be able to put others.
So there will be no other parallel commands once the leader is established?
There will be no parallel command once the structure is established.
From lessons of alliances, we can take it to the neighboring Malawi here. 18 parties in one alliance. It's quite a number. Like once now you are into power, that's where now the struggle comes now. And most alliances, like I said, to borrow from Malawi, didn't end well. What lessons have you got from there?
Well, alliances always work like that. Even just ordinary political parties, wherever they are human beings, if their expectations are not met, there will obviously be problems. But you cannot say we are not going to work together because we anticipate problems. I will refer to marriage as well. There are problems in marriage. They actually tell you it's a shupikisha club. When you hear from outside, you say no because those in marriage experience problems, therefore I will not be able to get into marriage. You don't. You still go in and marry and expect your own challenges and deal with those challenges as they come. So as an alliance, we are confident that we have, capable leaders that will be able to handle the challenges as
Can
they
you
come.
look in that camera, Doc, and convince a Zambian that to either, if at all the Tonse Alliance is on the ballot, to say after you are into power, there will be no confusions, because that's where now it's like everyone now wants a fair share of the cake of what they fought for to get to power.
Once Tonse is elected, I am not promising the Zambians that there will be no problems, but whatever problems will come, the leaders are capable of handling them within the context of power and be able to move the country forward.
So right now you are basically just preparing to get into power. There is no structure or there is no roadmap on how you are going to handle issues after you get into power.
No. That's why we have a constitution. That's why we have the rules of engagement. These are instruments that can be used to handle challenges that we experience.
But once into power, once someone is into power, for example, if you get into power, you are going to use the constitution of the country and not the constitution of where you're coming from.
Of course. That doesn't. Political parties have got their own political party constitutions, which govern the political party affairs. And then the national constitution governs overall. So when it comes to governance, it is not necessarily that you depend so much on the political party constitution or the alliance constitution. You depend on the national constitution.
Yes, so
and that doesn't mean that because you are in government, therefore you cannot have differences. A power has a way in which it deals with challenges of the political nature within the political party or within the political alliance. The UPND alliance is one such example. Are we finding challenges fighting amongst themselves? No. Because there is a way in which power moderates such kind of challenges. The problem can arise in a situation where the government or the coalition is formed post-election. There are post-election, alliances, which do not happen in Zambia. In Zambia, the Zambian constitution doesn't give room to the post-election alliances. It's pre-election alliances. And so as you are getting into government, you are getting in as one body, you are getting in as one organization, and so there are no problems. When you enter in government and you create alliances post-election, those alliances are the ones that are giving challenges in South Africa today, because they could not make the numbers, and then it's already after elections. Now they have got to go to bargaining to say, okay, you'll be having this, you'll be having that, and obviously you were competitors, you were all competing for one thing. So there are others that may want to sabotage those that have got a greater power, that are empowered, in order for them to say they have failed. Let's take over from them.
And like the current political landscape in Zambia, why are you politicians so much interested in getting into power, being a presidential candidate or being the president? What is it that Zambians are missing out that you are so much interested in being the lead?
My own view, actually, if I'm given an opportunity to speak to colleagues that are aspiring for State House, there is a myth about State House. People think that when one gets to State House, then they will be able to solve the problems of this country. No. What Zambia needs today is a stronger parliament that can put State House to account. That is the solution for Zambia. The reason why we have changed president after president after president, and we have not been able to find a solution to Zambia, is because each president comes in and weakens the operations of parliament. Does not fully submit to the questioning of parliament. They don't account to parliament. And as a result, we have been going through the similar problems, one government after the other. The parliament that we have in Zambia today, I say it's a toothless parliament that cannot hold the executive to account. And that's why we have so many problems.
Where is the problem with the parliament?
The problem is that parliament, our parliamentary structure, allows for the executive to get their ministers from parliament. And every MP, once elected, they all want to become ministers. They don't want to remain in the backbench. And because they don't want to remain in the backbench, they want to sound sweet to those that have got the appointing authority. Because if you don't sound sweet, you'll never be appointed as minister. But that's not the work of backbenchers. The work of backbenchers is to hold those that are in power accountable so that they can be able to deliver what the constituents want in their constituencies. Already, right now, and from now to August, people are going to canvass different locations of this country and tell people who build roads, and tell people who do that, and tell people who do that. But when they go to parliament, they get mute.
Is it that
the budget is brought to them. They cannot change anything in that budget. They rubber stamp the budgets, even on account that there is nothing for their constituents. There is no road for their constituents. There's no water for their constituents. When time comes to vote, as many as are of that opinion say aye, to the contrary say no. Everybody, the ayes have it. It goes. That is not the kind of parliament that will solve the Zambian problems. State House can't. But once we have a strong parliament, and that's the reason why I'm aspiring to go to parliament, because I want to go and be a part to revolutionize parliament, to have a parliament that shall make history, to have a parliament that will change the cause of this nation.
Changing some structures of parliament, that means you have to touch the constitution.
Not at all. The constitution sufficiently empowers the MPs to do what is right. The challenge is that most of the MPs that we send there, they don't even know their job description.
Okay.
They don't.
Those are the views of Dr. Lawrence Mwelwa on political space. And can we have a disclaimer, please, before we proceed into another segment of today's conversation? So, Doc, really, if we talk about the current state of Zambia, economically, I want you to breathe now. Economically, where are we as Zambia?
On paper, we hear that we are doing very fine. In reality, in our homes, we eat 1 meal per day, strugglingly so, 1 meal per day. If you have 3, 4, 5 homes that you have been to where they eat 3 meals a day, those ones must be very, very special citizens. But the ordinary citizen, what we call the economic recovery, what we call, the growth in the economy, the GDP, and so on.
The 8th National Development Plan.
All these things are just a merely on paper, but have done nothing to improve the quality of lives of many Zambians. So we are still a very struggling economy.
As an academician, then why do we have these national development plans if they don't really answer to the problems that the common person is facing?
The plans are one thing. The implementation is another. We make the development plans. Do we sit down to review how we have done in the past 5 years before we can get to the new development plan? We don't.
We're going to an election instead.
We go into an election without a review of what we have done in the past. We go into an election with songs and dances. And so people come August 13, 2026, people, the Zambian people will go to the polling stations dancing. I don't know which new hits will come on the scene. The musicians will sing nice songs and people will go dancing without reasoning. And 2, 3 years after the elections, we are still back to crying. We forget the songs that we danced to.
So
meanwhile,
the politician
the politician goes smiling to the bank.
So the problem is the people.
The people is one of the problems, but I want to say that, you know, we have done very little as politicians, civil society actors, civic, practitioners to educate our masses. Because even the masses themselves, they don't even know. They are voting for an MP, they don't even know what an MP is supposed to do.
So, Doc, really, if we went out there, if we go to a village right now in Chiengi, people are not so much, the literacy levels are so low for someone to start going through what an MP is supposed to do. Really, does that apply in the context of Zambia? For a mere person to understand.
That is the challenge, and that is why the Constitution is supposed to be translated in every language. Because the Constitution is not for the elite. The Constitution is for every Zambian. We say, we the Zambian people, it's ours. It belongs to the elite. It also belongs to, you know, the non-elite, those that are in the villages, those that cannot read and write. They must understand the Zambian Constitution because this is what governs them. So whether they have been to school or they haven't been to school, it's the duty, in fact, the duty of the members of parliament, the councillors in these locations, both saving and prospective ones, to go out and educate the masses so that the masses understand that when they elect an MP, he's not there to go and buy a mealie meal for them or go and buy beer for them or go and buy a coffin for them. He's there to represent them in the House, that as they make the annual law, the Appropriation Act, which they enact on a yearly basis, their interests are covered in that document.
So what key policies should a sitting president put in place to drive the Zambian economy forward?
In fact, the executive makes proposals to parliament. And I think that one of the key issues one of the key policies that the government must look at is practical poverty alleviation. Because poverty levels are very high in this country. So the key policies must focus on how do we deal with the issue of poverty. Mm-hmm. That is one of the things that government must look at. How do we deal with the issue of unemployment, youth unemployment? In the past election, there was that 2.8 versus 1.8
million
voters. And most of those among the 2.8 were young people. Some of them were going to vote with their gowns on. What has happened? Have they found employment? Most of them not.
But in all fairness,
so government must focus on poverty alleviation. Government must focus on job creation. And of course, government doesn't create jobs, but creating an enabling environment that must be able to produce millionaires. Deliberately, Zambia must focus on producing local millionaires. Zambian governments for a very long time have not focused on building their local millionaires. They have been focused on destroying their own local businessmen. They would rather give incentives to foreign nationals, but never give incentives to a Zambian entrepreneur. Those are issues that the government must look at. If you become a millionaire, you will employ the Zambians. Your millions will work within the Zambian economy. But if you make an Indian a millionaire, they obviously take that money back to their country. If you make the Chinese back to their country, the Germans back to their country, all these will just come and make money in this country and ultimately take that money back to where they come from.
So in all fairness, what positive development can you point out that the current government has done that you can acknowledge to say this is a good development, in all fairness, without sounding?
It's a very tough question. I would perhaps give them a little credit for the decision they made to start accepting the yuan for taxes and other things from China. That has helped somehow to push the dollar exchange rate to manageable levels. Mm-hmm. That is commendable. But in most other sectors, I think they have not done very well.
So it's just one sector that you can point out?
I can only point at one thing. They boast of employing 30 or 40,000, I don't know how many thousand teachers and so
At
on.
first, when they just got into government, they employed about 30,000 teachers,
yes,
and just forgotten the number of.
it was commendable. It was very, very commendable to do
And
such a
each year
thing.
they keep on employing.
That is commendable. The question is, how do you finance it? That's a
Is the
big question.
financing not?
So let me just explain. What has happened is that whilst we have continued to expand our civil service, we have postponed debt repayment to future generations.
Maybe
that's
they might
not
have
leadership.
better chances.
No. That's not leadership. And those future generations, we don't know how they are going to manage to raise the money, because now we are increasing copper production to 1 million, and our ambition is to get to 3 million tons a year. Now, perhaps at the time when those loans will be due, all the copper in the ground will be finished. So how then shall they be able to repay the loans? Why don't we pay them now when our copper production is at peak? Why are we letting, all these copper mining companies get away without paying appropriate taxes that can help us address some of these issues? So in as much as they have done well in employing or expanding the civil service, it is a burden to the future generation.
Okay.
A real parent is not the one that would want to leave debts for their children. I don't want to die and that my children can inherit loans that I got from the bank. I need to leave them real assets, not loans.
We'll get back into politics, and this is the political space with me, Webster, as we are talking to Dr. Lawrence Mwelwa. Dr. Lawrence Mwelwa, you were once the Vice Chancellor for Chreso University.
Yes, you are right.
Tell us about that journey.
It was an interesting journey. I started with Chreso from as low as a human resource officer, and I rose through the ranks to lead that organization. I led the Chreso University for 8 years, having grown it from about 12 students to over 5,000 students at the time of my departure. I consider that as a very commendable, journey. It was a very, very exciting journey.
Is the Chreso University relevant to the academic systems of Southern Africa and Zambia?
Indeed, it is. I mean, it has produced a lot of young people, a lot of nurses, a lot of clinicians, a lot of people that are working in Zambia and beyond. I know that some of my students are in UK, others in Australia, others in Canada. We had produced for the world. That I can say. We did a commendable job during my time at Chreso.
And at some point, when we talk about politics, you criticize the lack of accountability in the PF and some leadership failures. What exactly were you pointing out there that you can? Well,
there were things that were in public domain at the time. You remember the procurement of fire tenders was one of those very critical issues. I mean, at the price at which they were pegged, that needed, people in government needed to account to the Zambians on what really happened then. And there were several other things that I personally was not very happy with. And I didn't keep quiet. I told them this is wrong.
And this is 2026, and it's an election year, but the country hasn't buried its former president, Dr. Edgar Lungu. What do you see? How does that influence, firstly, with terms of voters, their loyalty to which party they vote to, and also in terms of political parties choosing a candidate that will represent them in the elections? How does that
impact?
Yes.
This is a very unique situation without an equal. We have not seen any other, or we've not been in a similar situation before in order for us to draw lessons from. But I think, humanly speaking, it is a very unfair situation that I think that those in government should have shown leadership, should have shown maturity, because I don't think that they would be losing anything by allowing the Lungu family to do it the way they want. It wouldn't add, it wouldn't subtract. anything to the Zambian people. The late president is gone. The body of the deceased person belongs to the family. And if the family says they want to have a private funeral, give it to them. It won't take anything away from the republic. It won't.
Why I'm asking this question because the Chawama by-elections, as a result of Tasila Lungu getting dropped from the position, so we are seeing a new MP from FDD. So really, how is that really going to affect the voters and also the parties choosing leaders?
Well, like I said, I cannot predict. But one thing I know is that the Zambians had a lot of emotional attachment to Edgar and to this funeral. It may have an impact in terms of how they vote going forward.
Are you contesting in any position, Jason?
I am.
Which position, sir?
Member of Parliament for Mkushi North.
And I remember you once wanted to contest. I don't know if you really contested for Mkushi council chairperson.
Yes, I did.
What happened?
I lost. It's a democracy. I lost.
So what gives you the courage that this time around you do better?
Well, let me draw lessons from President Hakainde Hichilema. He contested as many times, I think 5 times, before he finally won. There are things that I learned. The dynamics at the time were different. The PF at that particular time was in power. And from the pattern in Mkushi, people always go with the ruling party.
So you are going for the ruling?
Not necessarily. I am going to contest on the Tonse Alliance arrangement.
Is that going to advantage you too?
Well, I don't think that I need an advantage or no advantage. What I need to do is to campaign and convince the people of Mkushi
but like
that
you said, like your people of Mkushi, they've got the
so I've had enough time of interaction. I've had enough time of interaction with the people. I've had enough time of engaging, and unlike the 2021 election, now I can confidently say whoever is contesting will have to face a big.
Well, just to test your knowledge about Mkushi, how many words does the constituency have?
16 words. But I think that with the delimitation, they'll go up to about 20.
Name any 5 words that you know.
I can name the entire 16.
Okay.
I can name the entire 16. I can start with Chibefwe, Upper Lunsenfwa, Musofu, Munsakamba, Chitina, Nkumbi, Nkulumashiva, Chalata, Nkolonga, Kabengeshi, Matuku, Chikanda, Kalwa, and so on.
So what unique challenges are these different words that are facing in Mkushi right now, as we are talking?
The major challenge for most of them is water. Major challenge for most of them is access to farming inputs. It's a farming community, and so they talk farming. Some of the challenges are bridges, roads, and things like that. And I understand my role as member of parliament is that of robbing, not that of a construction company. And so, in as much as I understand the challenges, my role will be to ensure that parliament includes those challenges yearly in the national budget. Because if it's not in the budget, we cannot expect anything to happen in the district.
So, from the CDF, what are some of the things that have been improved from the challenges that you've mentioned, right?
Well, I think mainly most of the CDF projects are focused more on improving the education infrastructure, 1x3 classrooms blocks in most places. We have seen some water infrastructure being built. We have seen some staff houses for clinics and in rural outskirts being built. So there's quite a lot that has happened using the CDF route, but there's still much to be done because CDF is not enough to develop a constituency.
Youths in politics, what's their role?
To bring in their youthfulness, to bring in innovation, to be part of the trans or intergenerational, progress. They are learning from those that are already in politics. There are things that are supposed to be transferred to the younger generation. And the younger generation also bring in new innovations that would help to improve the development agenda in the country.
The current youths that are in politics have got the leadership that they need to lead this nation, or they're still
most of them have been disappointing, to say the least. Most of them, they have been disappointing. And some of them, when I engage with young leaders, they have no patriotism. They focus more on themselves. They are not like the ones that we had earlier during the time when I was born, the Kenneth Kaundas and so on. Those were very patriotic young people who knew what they wanted for their country. But most of these ones who just end up getting excited with what comes with the parliamentary seats, of the mayoral seats, councillors and so on. They don't seem to have that patriotism and the drive to ensure that the nation is taken to the higher heights.
And politicians are accused of using youths in their political games.
Because the youth choose to be used.
What would you tell them for use that?
The youths must be, in most cases, what I get worried is that even youths at University of Zambia, they have been a huge letdown. So, I've seen them on many occasions support things that they don't even understand, that they haven't even read. Before the constitutional amendment bill was shared with anyone else, young people from Munza were already issuing statements of excitement about something that they never read. And even now when you look at the current Act number 13 of 2025, the so-called Bill 7, it comes with a lot of bad implications, but it's law. And now that it is law, that's when they are opening their eyes. Is this what we supported? That is the kind of generation that we have. They are more focused on what they can get out of what they do. And that's why they end up being used. The politicians will get money, give to the young people, and the young people begin to run, narratives of things that they don't really understand. So the young people must be more intelligent. They must respond to issues based on facts, based on understanding, based on knowledge, not just following wherever the wind is going, everyone goes. No.
And for those that are courageous enough, what message do you have for them that might be afraid of intimidation or some sort from power? How do they speak truth to power but still remain patriotic to the nation?
There is no safe space in this world. They just have to learn to be courageous. Number one, they have got to believe that what they are saying is right for Zambia. It is not insulting in any way. They are not breaking any laws. They are within the context of the law, and they speak boldly about the issues affecting our country. There's nothing wrong. There's no one who is going to intimidate them. There's no one who is going to arrest them. There's one young man, I've forgotten his name. Is it Chabota? He's a very brilliant young man, very objective young man, very analytical young man. He speaks out, he brings out issues. And when you listen to him, you agree. What the young man is talking about is correct.
So like people in power and you politicians, really, where do you draw the line between someone that's speaking truth to you and someone that's bringing you down?
I'll tell you what. The biggest challenge we have amongst leaders today is the fear of truth. Leaders fear truth, and that is why they keep falling. A leader must be courageous enough to face the truth and enjoy people that speak truth to them. What caused the MMD to go down is because of surrounding themselves with praise singers. Mupia Banda surrounded himself with praise singers that never told him the truth. What caused the PF to fall is because Edgar Lungu surrounded himself with praise singers who were just telling him, sir, everything is well. What will cause the current government to fall is because he is also surrounded with praise singers. None speaks the truth to power. Because none speaks the truth to power, come August, the truth will be told from the ballot box.
And who is your preferred candidate in this year's election?
Who is my preferred candidate?
That you would support. Not to vote for, it's different, but who would support?
If I'm given a chance to support a candidate, I sit in a very precarious, very dangerously positioned place because my wife is running, and a very close friend of mine is also running.
Who's that?
Brian Mundubile.
Interesting.
Yeah,
and
so
Brian Mundubile looks like he's contesting Makebi Zulu.
So there's Makebi Zulu, there's my wife, there's Brian Mundubile, and if I'm given a choice to support, I'll definitely say that I'll support Brian Mundubile.
Okay. What's his manifesto really?
Well, that is for all of us to pay attention to and listen. But so far, he has demonstrated very high traits of leadership. We are yet to hear his policies. What are his policies? And I think that doesn't happen in a vacuum. Once he has a vehicle, whether it's the PF, whether it's the FDD, whether it's the Tonse Alliance, whatever he's going to use within that political party, they have got their manifesto. Then we'll listen to their policies of what they intend to do. For now, I think so far in terms of leadership traits, he has demonstrated that he's got the capability.
Really talking about the PF, it's tough to see that issues are still in court, so on and so on. So what advice would you give to those candidates that are in the PF that still feel like it's relevant?
Okay, let me face the camera and speak to people in the PF. Please, stop dreaming, because PF will never come back before time. So the sooner you realize that this thing will never work, the better for yourselves, the better for the Zambian people. Stop dreaming. Stop dreaming. PF is gone. It's a history. You know that when you were in government, you finished MMD. The time MMD was being given back to the rightful leadership, it was gone. It could not contest and compete favorably. It's the same thing with the PF. So the sooner you realize, the sooner you advise your members countrywide to jump into a different vehicle. Let me give a very simple example. If you are driving to Lusaka from Chinsali and then the bus breaks down on the way, you don't sit in that bus. You jump out of that bus into a new bus. So the Zambians, those members you have in the Patriotic Front, tell them to jump out of that bus and find them a new bus.
Those are the views of Dr. Lawrence Mwelwa on political space. So as we progress the conversation, really, what do you really want to leave for Zambia in your political pursuit? What's your legacy?
The legacy? I want to leave the legacy of truth. That I spoke truth to friends and enemies. I just told them the truth, nothing else but the truth. What is wrong is wrong, and what is right is right. And of course, right and wrong can be subjective. But it is right or wrong within the context of my conscience. If within my conscience I believe that this is wrong, I will speak it as such. Others have got the right to argue or speak otherwise, but I'll say my mind, and I want to be known for what I have consistently done, that is to be objective on many national issues.
How is your relationship with Professor Hamalengwa?
Is that where we to start? It's very cordial.
Okay.
Interestingly is that myself and Professor Hamalengwa, together we have written a book jointly on the arguments we had over a protracted time. We had this argument about jurisprudence and all these things about the court, especially about the Edgar Lungu eligibility case.
Yeah.
We had a very long exchange of views. And sometimes you would get emotional, and sometimes we sit down.
At some point I accused you to say, stop weaponizing my name.
At some point, we engaged via telephone conversation, and from that time we've been colleagues on the academic context.
All right.
Yeah.
So as we're winding up the conversation of political space, please look into the camera. Maybe there's something that we didn't ask you, but you expected to say this, that you feel free to talk about.
I think that we have covered most of the issues. And I would like to conclude by addressing leaders, whether leaders in political parties, leaders in churches, leaders in civil society. Don't be afraid of the truth. You must never, ever surround yourselves with praise singers. There is one leader that left an impact in this land. His name is Levi Patrick Mwanawasa.
Is it not that we praise him because he's late?
No.
You can't answer that.
No. We praise him because he surrounded himself with critics, people that were criticizing his government. He still embraced them. You recall that he embraced Michael Chirufya-Sata, a very, very strong critic of Levi Mwanawasa. He brought him near, and he was willing to engage with him. As leaders, let's not hate the truth and those that tell us the truth. Let's embrace them. Give them an opportunity to speak to us. It's not everyone who is criticizing you based on malice. There are a lot of critics that criticize you based on national interest. And I'm such. Thank you.
I almost forgot this. You are just on KBF's page. You posted a statement and you countered that statement. What is it all about?
It's quite a lengthy argument. Basically, Mr. Kelvin Waliafuwe and the Zambia Must Prosper are members of the Tonse Alliance. And we earlier discussed the expulsion of the PF. That expulsion, KBF was part in expelling PF. He was part in the amendment process of the Constitution that removed the clause that made PF the anchor party of the Tonse Alliance. Are you following me? He was part of that. After the amendment of that clause and several other clauses, they now introduced positions of chairperson, second vice chairperson, and first vice chairperson. First vice chairperson and second vice chairperson.
So if it's like two vices.
Yes. So he was even elected as interim vice chairperson. And he accepted that position under the same constitution which he is now criticizing on his page. Apart from that, he was also part of the process that created the roadmap to go for the National Congress, which will then elect the president, the chairperson and the two vice of the Tonse Alliance, which will also discuss issues of the special purpose vehicle and so on. He was part. He was also part of the people that appointed 3 senior lawyers to be the Electoral Commission of the Tonse Alliance. So we find it rather disappointing that he backs out of what he was part of. In alliances, in organization, it's all about collective responsibility. The majority takes the day. I can have views, but if the majority says this view, it becomes your view as well. Even if you voted otherwise, you are also part of that view because you are a collective institution. And so the decisions that he is criticizing now, it's unfortunate because he was part of every decision that was made by the Alliance.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you,
Sure.
Webster.
This is the end of episode 5 of The Political Space with me, Webster. Remember to subscribe to YouTube, Facebook, X, as well as on Spotify. And thank you so much for those that are viewing. With me, Webster, until next time, it's bye-bye for now.